All right, let's do it. Welcome back to Talkin' Shift. We're here with Casey Max, Ryan Mitchell. And before we get into this, I want to let you guys know we do have our podcast in a bunch of different ways to download. You can find the link in our YouTube description. We've got it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and some others. So click the link in the description. If you don't want to watch our faces, if you want to just listen to the car as you're cruising somewhere, you're welcome to do that. Let's get into it. How's it going?
Doing great. How about you guys?
Really good.
Good.
Really good.
Good.
You're our second guest on the podcast.
Who was your first?
Who do you think?
Peter Baum.
He's faster than you.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Yes, Beater Bomb.
Oh, yeah.
We just put that one out a few days ago. And we saw both you guys in Florida recently. That's the main topic that everybody's talking about on the internet.
Not a very long time in Florida, though.
Yeah. Before we get into that, we've known you for what, like 15 plus years?
It's been a long time.
Down in Kansas City. Is Casey Max your main business? How you make money?
My main business, yep.
What all do you do there?
We dyno tune chassis EFI. Yeah, golly, man. We dyno tune EFI systems for most GM late model vehicles, as well as all your aftermarket PCM controllers.
Okay, cool. So you do standalones,
Yep.
like Holly,
Lots of Holly, Fuel Tech, Hall Tech,
AEM,
ECU
nice.
Master, Max ECU,
Ooh,
all kinds of
the
stuff.
European stuff. Cool. We don't see much of that over here.
So whatever we can get into, we'll do.
Awesome. So Cletus, all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive race.
That did not go how I thought it was going to go,
Same.
especially first round. It was 11-5. Just a reminder for everyone. That was insane.
I don't think it went the way anybody initially planned. I don't even think the all-wheel drive team expected it to go that way. I think they were believing it might, but I think everybody was pretty shocked.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Why do you think it went down that way? That's the big question on everybody's mind.
I don't know for sure. I know that in our instance, we had a number in mind. We hit the number and did it beautifully. I know our next pass would have been faster for sure and probably would have been extremely competitive to win the whole event. But drawing Crazy Horse first round,
The guy that won it.
man, he was just consistent all day long, you know, and that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I'll preach it all the time on our channel, and consistency will always beat the faster car in a lot of cases. So in our instance, we weren't the faster car out of the whole event. We were competitive, just not the fastest. And got taken out real early. The rest of my team, I think everybody needed one more lick. If we could have moved on past first round, a lot of people got quicker. I mean, everybody picked up. They got past. I think it just comes down to data and trust in the surface. I mean, a lot of the guys we brought were backside veteran racers and street racers, and that was one of the better backsides that anybody had seen. So it was a good surface. It was a good
I guess people were
surface.
going pretty quick.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, that was really sticky out there. It actually really was.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was hot enough, even with the no liquid burnouts. There was still rubber getting down. It was still getting pretty tacky, and it was actually starting to get greasy because of the way the sun was cooking the surface.
Yeah, I got warm about third round.
Yeah. Because there was a couple of teams I went over to, and I was like, what tire are you still on? They're like, oh, we're on the DO5. And I was like, yeah, I said it's CO7s. I would probably look at switching.
Gotcha. Dang. I didn't know if the surface was good or bad. It seemed very unique, but everyone's guessing first round out other than Cletus because he's tested there.
Right.
He knows the surface a little bit, but it was a guessing game for everybody else. That's tough. Do you want to share numbers that you ran? The number?
Yeah, I can share numbers. So I think everybody's watched Cletus's videos where he's going like 546, 547 range on some of his faster passes. We went 540 at 146 off the trailer.
Wow, that's a good guess.
So I was like, that's a good pass. I mean, a good clean pass. We didn't have any tire smoke. I mean, everything went really well in that pass, and it was faster than what Cletus had went. And it's the best data point that we had to go off of. So I was like, this should go rounds, and done.
Yeah, you raced the fastest guy. The most consistent, quickest guy that we don't. Maybe someone else ran a quicker time.
Very possible.
Nathan was sharing times. I think at 26
I
was.
believe you said it did 26 against you.
Right.
Yeah, which I think was his quickest pass of the day.
It could have been. Well, after that, it was just kind of like locked in.
Yeah, 26, 28, 31. I think it was all within like 600ths.
Yeah, it was consistent. It was good.
And if you remember, even a year ago, like part of the reason I love Crazy Horse because it's crazy, it's like, all the way down the tracks. I always stand right behind him just to watch how crazy it gets. And he's not Crazy Horse anymore. It's Tame Horse. It's just fast.
It's a legit like A to B street truck now, and that's a scary thought.
I mean, I'm impressed to get a diesel to do that. I mean, I don't know anything about racing a diesel, but to me, I've never seen consistency out of them. And to see that truck repeat time and time and time again that day was impressive.
Yeah.
We saw Crazy Horse in Austin for that cash days.
Yep.
And that was the first time we had seen him do good A to B passes. He went to the finals, I guess.
Semifinal, he went out against
El Gringo.
Yeah, and then it was El Cacoy against El Gringo in the final, I believe.
Right. Well, the midnight performance and El Gringo and Randy and all of them apparently were helping him. Nathan was like, I need help with doing A to B and making it dig. They helped him a lot. They said Nathan was there. Anytime they said, hey, we got a few hours on Thursday, he would load up stuff, be there for a few hours on Thursday and go home. He would just make sure he got the data and the runs in, and it shows because that thing's doing A to B stuff and it's not all over the place anymore.
And that's what we got really excited about the Cletus race, because we saw them racing and heard them talking about what they were doing and all the testing they're doing and stuff like that. And we're like, we got to go. We got to see this in person. It was wild. Is there anything you would have done differently?
No, I mean, just really now we have data on the surface. I know where we can go and I know where we can speed up.
Sure.
So that's really the biggest thing. It was just, like I said, it was just something so unique of a surface that we hadn't seen. It was almost as if they had grounded or heavy rolled it after they had laid it. They actually maintained it versus so many backsides. I mean, as long as it doesn't have potholes, I mean, it slows the car down just fine. But that Bradenton's backside is really good.
It's crazy to see that caliber of racer on that surface, because in order to do well first round, you have to have a lot. You have to go out there, look at the surface, take a guess at the tune you want to put in the car, have some tunes from a similar surface to make as quick a pass as possible. And there were some really fast passes. It's not like it was a blowout on every single race. There were some close rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive races. The all-wheel drive cars just came out on top.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them were determined by less than a car length.
Yeah.
So it's going to be good racing.
And for a New Edge Mustang to be the lone rear-wheel drive car in this semifinal, he made it too?
Yeah, all the way to the semifinal. He was the only one, White Girl. Shout out to White Girl for literally, I think it was 2 rounds in a row. He was the only rear-wheel drive car.
Yeah. Andrew Lavender. Yep.
Have they? I know they said they're gonna run it back in October. Have they told you guys anything that they're gonna change? Obviously, they're probably gonna at least do water burnouts.
Nothing's for sure yet, other than the date.
Okay.
The date's there. Our rear-wheel drive group chat's been very lively the last few days. Pretty good. So lots of calling people out on how slow they were or how fast they were, and it's been pretty good in there. So, we've asked ourselves in there, what could we do better as an individual? And the general consensus is just more passes, just more data on surfaces like that. Now we've seen it. I mean, one pass from almost any car on that team, we got shock sensors, lasers, we got everything. So we can see bumps, we can see surface irregularities, we know what surface slip is going to be. We know so much on just one pass.
Yeah, I was very impressed. Are there any cars that you could think of outside of that group that would have done well on that surface? I think it was a really good lineup.
I mean, the lineup was pretty solid. Marty Wood would have done well. Clint Nichols would have done well with his car. Justin Lee. I mean, he's got a couple cars to pick from. They all do really good on backside stuff. I mean, really, we had a pretty solid team. There really isn't anybody I would sub out one way or the other. I mean, everybody should run pretty close. So, I mean, it was a pretty good, solid lineup.
Speaking of New Edges, what about is it Brandon? The white New Edge?
Brandon Mork?
Yeah, Mork.
Yeah, Mork's the Pearl car.
We've seen him win a few races.
Yeah,
last
he did
year,
really good in New York last year. Extremely
that
fast.
Was a really bumpy, wild surface.
Yeah, I don't know if he got approached or not, but that thing does work pretty good on a lot of different surfaces if he puts the effort in.
Sure.
It's his birthday today, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday, Brandon.
Nice.
The other topic that's really popular with you right now is your new compressed air supercharging setup.
That's pretty different, isn't it?
I love it. So cool.
What'd you call me, a geek or a nerd?
Nerd, yeah. Big nerd. I loved it, though. We only got to see one race idea at Cleetus, but I was happy to see you in Orlando. We got to see 3 more runs, and there'll be a feature or you'll be in the video either before or right after this video, most likely, with some more data on your setup. But why don't you tell me a little bit about why you switched to that setup?
So everybody's done Pro Charger. We've looked at doing a screw blower. We looked at doing roots. We've done turbos for a long time. And the downside to every power adder right now is parasitic loss and heat. So you find everybody out there running methanol or intercoolers for more weight. So most people go methanol in order to combat the extreme heat that's made. So when you have more heat, you've got less air density charge. So you're having to work everything harder to make the same power. Well, with the compressed air system, there's no parasitic loss and the temperature's very low. So on the big block, we saw temperatures approaching 30 degrees and it was actually snuffing out our methanol. So we only got a couple passes on that. And then
it was too cold.
It was too cold. So it didn't matter if we leaned it out, if we had a lot of timing, it was pretty angry. So we knew we were having to set up really quickly because we only had the compressed air system on the car for 6 days before we left for Rockingham. So we had to build an LS. We did a new 4-link in the car and reinstalled the CAS system, dynoed it really quick, and then hauled butt.
You just changed everything?
Yeah, we changed everything like 3 days before we left for Rockingham.
Real quick, what are your air intake temps that your big block was that unhappy?
When I started snuffing the methanol out, anything below 45 degrees Fahrenheit, it would start to misfire.
You're getting air intake temps below 45 degrees?
Yeah.
And it gets colder as it runs.
It gets colder.
That's crazy.
The more volume we run, the colder it gets.
I remember that was the one number I thought was crazy when we talked to Tina Pierce at PRI was the air intake temps are so cold.
Yeah. So I've had some tips given to me what we can mix in with the methanol, make it work, but we're going to stick with probably race gas on it.
So for people who haven't seen this, by the way, sorry, it's just the 2 air nitrous tanks, basically. They're like 30-pound bottles in the passenger seat of his car. And it just shoves air through a hose into the intake. And that's your boosting system. Rather than a turbo or a supercharger, it just comes from a bottle like nitrous and it's just air. It's a whole lot of compressed air. Just to fill you in, you can look at some videos on our shorts from PRI of Tina's truck, but there'll be a video out of Ryan's truck or Ryan's car soon too. Just to explain what we're talking about. It's a whole different technology, and there's been a bracket racer that was running it for a few years, and then Tina put it on last year, and now you've got it.
Yeah. Mark Griffin, he's now taking over the company CAS, Compressor Supercharging, and he's been running it for 5 or 6 years now. And then Tina and Dave, they've been running it for a few years. And the biggest thing is the consistency out of it. So we're always chasing heads up stuff. So we're not to the point where we're trying to make back-to-back the exact same passes. We're just trying to make the fastest pass we can for that service at that time of the day. And it's delivering every time we want to do that. And it really showed its hand every time we were doing these 3 backside races over that week and a half. We were out on the East Coast. And we made impressive passes and reset our personal best on anything that we'd been on before. We would reset it every time. So it was really, really cool.
Wow. You're looking for consistency in everything in the car.
Right.
You don't want a wild card, and the air temps are one of those wild cards, depending on the climate, the elevation, the weather that day, and now you have consistency with that.
Right. So you bring up elevation, so we can run. Let's say we run a 450 pass in Florida when the DA is negative 1,000. Well, we can go to Colorado, and the DA may be 8,000 that day, and it should run the exact same pass.
That's crazy.
Because our air is coming from a compressed system, so we're able to control the temperature, the volume, everything.
So you don't have a power loss.
Oh, shit.
Right.
That's wild. So why is there's only like 3 cars? From what I understand, compressed air supercharging has been around for a couple decades, a few decades. Why is there only today 3 cars running it? And what made you switch from the other 18 different combinations you've had over the years?
I think the biggest thing is you got to have some faith in it. I mean, it's a big investment cost. There's a lot of moving parts. And, like you got to have a compressor to fill it up. You have to have a cascade system to fill your car up. You got to have lines. You got to have high pressure understanding. You have to have a basic understanding of pneumatics. And that I'm lacking on, but I know more means faster. So we just control it and think of it kind of like a nitrous system right now. That's how we stage it. But I think it's just such an unknown thing. And, there's going to be people saying, Mickey Thompson did it back in the 70s and it was hard to control. And it's like, yeah.
Oh, he did?
I guess so. That's what I've been told on.
Cool.
many
I knew
posts.
it has been around for decades, but nobody
I'm sure
ever
the technology was different.
does it. Yeah.
But the guys that actually started NOS, they started this project CAS in the early 2000s, and they had that huge tidal wave of success on NOS systems. I mean, everybody knows nitrous, and now they were bringing compressed air stuff to the market, but it wasn't at the power level they initially intended. So it was like meant to be like 1,000 horsepower or less initially, and now it's 3, and now we're looking at trying to do 5, and we need more and more power. So I think that's some of it, and the technology's got to catch up to it. And some of the control systems that we use, we can make it better with more and more technology. So, realistically, it'd be ideal to have on my car like a Haltech Nexus R5, where we could do like dual electric throttle body controls to help dampen the airflow through our 2 stages, plus our actual stage control to bring it in. But when we use like the Compressor Supercharging, we use their controller, and the software is a little clumsy on it right now, but the you can control boost down to a 1/10 of a PSI target anywhere in a run you want. So, and you can repeat it every time if you want.
So just real quick, do you see this once it's figured out, once it's refined, once it's gotten once you guys have a few thousand passes or hundreds of passes like you do on everything else, do you think people are going to look at this like an option? Like we should consider running this instead of a supercharger or nitrous or a turbo or anything?
I'll tell you about every team member this last weekend where it's definitely like, man, I want to do it. So because if the next best power adder I've ever ran is going to be the ProCharger stuff. ProCharger's dead nuts consistent, has all the power infinitely there, like immediately as soon as you want it, super controllable. You have less variables, works extremely well. The advantage is the compressed air stuff. Instead of seeing like 400 to 450 degree IATs, obviously we're 400 degrees colder than that. So that's going to be better on the motor. It's going to be less detonation issues. The motor's going to last longer, more laps on each part. And we're able to move that weight somewhere else in the car, and we don't have the parasitic loss. I do think it's going to be a pretty good game changer once people kind of get over some of the sticker shock on stuff, just because some of the components are expensive, but there's a lot of there's decades of engineering and R&D that goes into all these pieces that make them work and to make them safe, and there's a lot of unknowns. It's going to be a while to get everybody kind of educated on it.
As far as weight goes, when you take the ProCharger off and you add the bottles and I guess the valving and everything, the lines and everything, what's the weight difference in the car?
So your F3 to F4 crank drive ProCharger kits weigh 95 to 100 pounds. And the compressor supercharging system is also right about 100 pounds. The only thing you need on the motor side is the ejector. So that large throttle body injection unit that shuts off outside air till we run 100% off the compressed air in the bottles. So that's the heaviest piece in front of the motor plate. And that guy's about 5 to 7 pounds. And then the whole CAS system weighs about 100 for everything else. So you're able to take that weight and put it anywhere else in the car you want to do it. So if you're building a car to run the system, you have the option of putting the bottles in multiple places to help with weight distribution. The regulator itself is like 15 pounds. That's kind of heavy, chunky. But you can put that somewhere else in the car. You got a lot of freedom to move all these components around.
There's not much leg. You said it was 0.1 seconds to get full boost.
Yeah, pretty much. We've had some oopsies and opened up some stages a little early, and both the big block and my LS, we've maxed out the 5-bar map sensor.
Holy
If we open it up too early before like 4,000 RPMs, it'll peg it out.
How many PSI is 5-bar?
60.
Wow.
So,
but it's so cold that you don't have issues.
How much? I'm asking a lot of questions because this is interesting. So you run 2 15 or 20 pound bottles, 2 30 pound bottles?
So these bottles are out of aviation type emergency deployment systems.
Okay.
So they're carbon aluminum reinforced.
Right.
And each bottle is about 32 inches long with 9.5 inches diameter.
They're big.
So yeah, the empty, they weigh about 30 pounds. With the compressed air, and they pick up like 4 or 5 pounds.
Gotcha.
Like a nitrous equivalent. It's like a 30-pound bottle. I think.
Okay. So for people at home, 30 pound bottles, what you should imagine.
Yeah, they're huge. It takes up the whole floorboard of this car.
Right.
Yeah. So bigger than the ones that in the Fast and Furious, you said I want the big ones.
Yes.
Bigger than those two.
Yes.
Now, you do 8th mile with the car pretty much exclusively, right?
Right.
Right. So how much pressure do you start with, and then how much air do you use through one pass?
So
and how often do you got to refill? Sorry.
So right now, the bottles on the car can hold 3,300 pounds. So we fill them to 3,300 pounds, and pretty much as long as we maintain 450 pounds in the mother bottles during a run, we'll get full system flow. And if we're opening up everything and we're staging on the brake with it for about 1 second, we're fully depleting everything on the car right now for run a full system max.
So both tanks are done at the end of the pass.
Yes, they're done. So they have just enough pressure right now to maintain the whole run, but that's it.
Gotcha.
So, if we're making, like back at the track races, we're making slower, longer passes. So we're using up more PSI per second.
Okay.
But when we start making faster passes on the tree side stuff, then, we'll use that same capacity, but we're making a lot lower or a lot quicker passes. So we'll still use up all the volume.
So with a quarter mile thing, you would just have to add way more bottles, basically.
It depends on how much your CFM you're trying to flow. So if you're trying to make 3,000 horsepower on this system to run a quarter mile, you're probably going to have to add one more bottle.
Yeah.
But like I said, you got the freedom to put it anywhere in the car you want. So once some regulation comes into place for classing this kind of system, because like right now you have limitations on turbos, blowers, overdrives on screws, stuff like that. Eventually there'll be some kind of regulation on this stuff. And, you'll have to wait to make, and you can, place that weight as you need to. But the nice thing is you don't have to take these bottles out of the car to refill them. We just refill them on car.
How long do they take to refill?
They take me about 5 minutes.
That's not even bad. So you're checking data, cooling stuff down, plugging the bottle just like you would your transmission between passes. And then, nice.
But he hasn't mentioned he has 4 mother bottles in his trailer.
For like 100-pound mother bottles?
Well, those bottles weigh about 200 pounds a piece. And then they are pressurized about 5,000 PSI.
Gotcha.
And then we refill those with a breathing air compressor like you'd find at a dive shop or like a paintball facility.
So would those 4 mother bottles keep you for an event?
They will. There's enough in those systems or in those bottles where we can refill the car 2.5 times with no compressor, depending on if we're doing a full depletion on the car side. So we can hit 3,300 pounds, at least 2.5, maybe 3 times off that system if we are taking the car side down, like let's say 1,000 pounds.
Which was just enough for your Orlando trip, but you needed the compressor towards the end. Sorry.
Yeah. Orlando is just fine for, and definitely more than enough for Cletus. So
Yeah. Sorry.
All right.
it's fine.
But the compressor, just to give you guys a mental picture of how this is working, the mother bottles are like massive, and then the compressor takes up like the half of your truck bed. It's a big boy.
That one is, we bought.
They make smaller ones.
Yeah, we bought a Bauer K14 head air compressor, which generates about 9 CFM at max RPM. And then this one's got like a diesel 10 horsepower engine that runs it. So it makes everything a little bit massive. And then we're reducing the footprint quite a bit because, I bet the footprint's not much smaller than this table.
Okay.
In the bed of the truck. It was 52 inches wide by about that deep.
Yeah.
And now it's about a third of that size right now. So we're getting it down quite a bit and getting a lot of the weight off the system. But there are other compressors available. This one will just take all the hours and all the abuse we want. It's easy to service. We'll get tens of thousands of hours out of it versus some of these other compressors.
Nice.
You're lucky to get 100 to 500 hours out of it.
You need something reliable.
Right.
And you didn't buy the right compressor for dig or die, right? So you ran out of air.
Yeah, we had a compressor that was working pretty good, but we put about 50 hours on it. And the pump side started to lock up on us. So we got the dig or die and the compressor went kaput right after we got everything filled. And we had to run dig or die on sparingly amounts of air. And we still made really good passes. We actually went 0.6 faster overall than our big tire passes there, including like the one where we flew up upside down and flipped over, a year and a half ago.
Holy cow.
So like everything, it definitely showed really good promise there.
Yeah. So this is your most recent setup. How many different combinations have you had in this car? How long have you been racing it, first of all?
Let's see.
As long as I've known.
I got the car in 02 and probably started racing it in like 06.
Yeah, you're like Joey. You guys have had your cars for 2 decades apiece.
Right.
And like just changed setups on it, and both of you have just gotten faster and faster and faster.
I really don't even know how many combinations I've had in it now. I think it's close to 75 to 80.
Oh my!
I remember the first time I either met you or saw the car, whatever you did. You did a dyno pull at, I think it was
Might have been his shop.
The F body when they used to do the F body.
We did it at your shop once, didn't we?
No, but the dyno thing was set up like in a parking lot at a dealership or something like that.
Yeah, Mustang F
Chuck's
body.
truck.
Yeah. That was the first time I think I'd seen your car, and you had a big block, and your turbos were behind where the rear seats would be.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this dude doing? And then I think you put 1,400 down on the dyno, and you won the dyno contest. Like, okay, well, at least it makes power. And then since then, it's just, I don't know how many combinations. It's just been wild.
Probably about 20 since then.
20 since then.
Wow. That was my favorite, by the way. The turbos in the back seat. I loved how that looked.
It was neat. So it was because we were LS. We LS swapped it. I'm sorry. Car started off as a V6. Blew that up. Just normal death. And then went small block Chevy, had a lot of fun, built a lot of those, nitrous. And then we went turbo LS, and then really kind of started the turbo LS craze, I feel like, around the Kansas City area. And that was inspired by Parrish's build when he used to start coming down and start kicking our teeth in with that truck. That thing was so much fun to watch.
Yes.
And then did
you race him?
I don't think I ever got the chance.
Dang.
I mean, I'm glad. I mean, 4-wheel drive, it would have tore my heart out. You know?
It only ran a 10.04. It was the quickest it ever went. You couldn't keep up with that?
It took a while.
That was
on
an
the
06.
Yeah, I know.
I think it was my third turbo LS build that we finally got in the nines with. You know,
You did turbo LS in what year?
Like 2007, 2008.
That was very early on.
So it was a long time ago.
I think Drag Week 06 or 07, I saw an LS swap in like a 60s, 70s Corvette. I was like, dang, that's cool. It's not cool anymore.
Do something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had lots of turbo LS combinations, and I used to change them out probably every like 3 months. Then yeah, eventually we got tired of hurting LS thrust bearings, LS head gasket issues, stuff like that. And we went to the big block, and I bought this like 468 nitrous built big block Chevy, 13.5 to 1 compression, sounded kick ass. And we put, I was like, I want this thing to look like really plain. I want to be able to drag and drive with it. So we had a big cooling system in the front of it, looked like an LS in the front because it had LS coil packs on it. Intake was flipped around backwards going through the dash. And then, yeah, we put twin 80s where the back seats would be, built a new firewall, and then ran full exhaust with mufflers out the back. So, like, it was pretty nice, except for, you know, you got big block valve train problems. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, we did quite a bit of racing with that, learned a lot on that one, ended up having to spray it to get everything to spool the way we wanted to because of the technology we had on turbos back then. And it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of cool benefits to it.
What was your favorite setup? What has been your favorite setup? This current one or something previous?
Usually the most with the least. So like our stock bottom end 5.3 stuff that just takes a beating.
Low maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, no maintenance. You know, you just put fuel in it and change the oil and maybe plugs if you want to and just beat the crap out of it.
I think we saw you at a race. This is probably a couple years ago. We saw you at a race and you had big block, all that or whatever. And then we saw you at a street race like a week later. You show up with a 4.8 and like a single turbo or something like that. And I was like, what happened? I blew it up. I didn't have time to build it. So I just put this in. I was like, only you would just like, you probably have so much data on this type of setup too, because you've had so many. You're like, oh, we could just do this and this and it'll be just fine. And I think you win a couple rounds.
Wasn't it Yellow Belly?
I think he won that race. Wasn't Chief there?
Yeah, Chief was there. Yeah, we took out Beater Bomb. Crazy Horse was there. We took out Cali Nate when he.
That's when Beater Bomb and Crazy Horse got real close.
Yeah. Oh, on the streets.
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
I remember
because
I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "The motor's so tiny. What is this?"
I was like, "Just have faith." You know, it's like S400, 88 millimeter turbo and a stock LC9.
I think the road was so bad that you were like the only one that could, because you literally made less power than most other people, and you could just manage it way better than everyone else.
Right. We still went 530s on that road.
Dang.
With the 4.8 and a single turbo.
Yeah.
Gosh.
That stock bottom end LS went 75 runs at over 1,300 horsepower to the tire.
Impressive. Shout out to that was a Wednesday motor or a Tuesday motor for sure.
What's funny is it sat as a core on my shelf in the shop for like 4 years before that.
It needed a rest. I just had a little rest, a little nap time.
You've been summoned. It's your time.
Sacrifice.
Why do you keep changing setups so frequently?
I see an advantage. So the East Coast race, if we do the big block Chevy Pro Charger Zoomies, we have found it takes about 850 pounds on the car to make it effective and to make it competitive. I will not do a bar on the back of it. I mean, the wing may be a little heavy depending on the day, but I won't do a bar. And
he's talking about the butthurt bar.
Yeah, sorry, trademarked. I didn't want to bring it up since trademarked.
Is it?
It says TM next to it.
I think Joey said we got to pass on the pod. We can use the.
That's
good.
good.
We can use
All right,
butthurt bar whenever we want.
As long as we pay him
It's
$1.
like $5 a use.
We have to pay him $1. Sorry. Anyway,
so it still comes down to power versus weight. We're still on 28, 10, 5. And as long as you got so much pressure per square inch on the tire, the car should accelerate. Well, when you get past that required pressure amount, you're going to end up just being heavy for no reason. So when we do the LS build, it drops about 300 pounds on the nose of the car. And that's way less weight we got around the back of the car. We can now start moving it around and make it more effective to either not, pitch the nose up in the air or, whatever. It just gives us more freedom on the chassis, basically, to put the LS in it. It does have less torque. It's a little easier to manage. The big block, we've been successful. We won a 10,000 to win Gulfport race on the backside with the go fast torque converter in it, Procharger, spun to the max, and on really, really crappy asphalt, we're talking like 580s to 6.0s. And we were still able to manage it down enough to make it work on that and win. That was like a 30 car field. And then we go tree side and end up in the finals against Ryan Martin until we lose our what do we lose? We lose a signal line to our bypass valve. So we couldn't make a run against Martin.
Dang.
Like we did the burnout, launched it, and that line came off. But I feel that we had a pass in it to probably win or be right there.
Most racers just change their tune-up. You're changing your whole combination based on the surface.
Right. So like that specific event, we did that backside race going like 6.0s and then go tree side to go much faster. And it was 6 hours of work between 4-link settings, front spring change out, front crank center line changes, rear weight changes on the car. We're changing everything except for the power plant. And if we had a tranny jack there, we probably would have changed converters for each one.
Wow. You know your car that well.
Yeah.
Most people just have a collection of tunes in their computer and they don't change anything but the tune. Wow. That's crazy.
So I don't know if you have a counter, but how do you know? Do you have any idea how many hits you have on that one car?
I got a rough number since we chassied it in 2017 and like redid the back half because it was a stock suspension car for a long, long time, and then we kept ripping the chassis apart. In 17 we kind of got the current version of the chassis done, and since then we're about 3,500 passes.
What?
So that's how you and Joey do this. Is you guys test, data, test,
right.
Change things, data, test.
And I don't test as much as I used to. So we only make about 230 passes a year right now, the last like 3 years. But
You say only?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's not that many.
No big deal.
We don't usually go testing much.
You are a professional no prep racer, though.
Multi-surface racer.
Multi-surface racer. Can we get?
We don't
Why
discriminate
don't you
on
have
the
a
surface.
T-shirt that says multi-surface racer? That would be awesome.
Well, I should have introduced Ryan as one of the most winningest no prep racers, multi-surface racers on earth. Him and Joey are just unstoppable.
I don't know how many times I've seen, like I've interviewed you throughout the day, and now it's like a joke. All right, let's go talk to Ryan, I guess, see what he's going to do in the final. And you're always just happy, like, we're just see what he'll do. And then you go like gap somebody in the finals. I remember at Yellow Belly last year, you were more excited about the necklace than the money.
Yeah.
And there was like this much money. And you're like, oh, do you see the necklace though? I was like, what? What the hell?
Somebody just made a post about that a couple of days ago asking a 5-digit payout versus the award for a class. Which one do you prefer?
The money spins, but the money's required to keep the racing going.
Of course.
But the trophy lasts forever.
That's a good point.
It depends on the trophy too. Small Tire Gangsters is pretty legit gangster chains.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I did appreciate the next, because we won it and the chain was really tight. It was like a choker on me. And then the next time we came out there, they made it longer for
They
me.
sized it for
So
you.
when we won it, it hung down properly.
It's like the green jacket at the Masters or whatever. It's like, we sized this one just for you.
So for content, like we like to see a variety of cars at the track. We like to see a variety of cars win. When you show up, sometimes it's a little disappointing to me because
It's not disappointing. I just got to think of like, how is this going to be the most entertaining way that Ryan's going to win today?
But you don't have a Fox body, so it makes me happy.
It's a Firebird. There's not that many Firebirds in the world.
I love it.
And your Firebird, I don't mean to throw shade on the car. It looks like it's $350. Okay, it doesn't look like it should do what it does. But anybody that knows racing, if they walked around the pits and they see that car, like, okay, well, that guy, he's going to win. It's like, why? That's Ryan.
You even had the opportunity to make it nice when you wrecked it.
I have newer body panels to put on it.
Don't do it.
No.
But yeah, I actually put my heart and tears in that thing every day. Every race day,
Yeah.
it gets speed waxed, wiped down, cleaned up, shined up. Look at that face.
Well, there's like 4 shades of black. I think there was blue on it last time I saw it. And
It's one shade of black. It was one shelf worth of
Depends on the
Krylon.
lighting.
It's all over the car right now. Okay, I know it's all one. It's one shade of black. Okay, I think I even went as far as looking at the batch codes on the.
I made fun of it one day. I thought you were going to cry. I'm like, this thing still looks like a pile of shit. You're like,
I will say we love that thing to death, and it doesn't matter how it looks to anybody else. As long as you love it and it goes fast, it's all that really matters.
exactly.
Thanks.
God, he's like beater bomb. He just like, yeah, it looks like shit. It's supposed to. And he's like, I really like this thing.
Yeah.
You know,
How many passes did you say? Like 3,500?
since 2017.
That's since 2017. Oh, so that means like 4,000 or 5,000 passes on that thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you count like all the roll races as passes?
Oh, yeah, anything.
There's so many hits that thing had in its lifetime.
I
especially with
forgot.
the street car.
We used to roll race in that car. I filmed you roll racing that car on the Mexico streets.
Actually, Skinnies and I actually developed we stacked 2 stock PCMs in the car at one time for the 2013 races when like the roll race was starting to get really big. You know, we had like the KC 2013 shootout.
Yep.
We had Mustang F body meet like not too far before that. You know, you're doing your stuff up here. So we actually did 2 stock PCMs, 2 fuel cells in the car, 16 injectors, and we actually blended 2 stock PCMs to actually run dual injectors. So we had dual fuel types. We could go out roll racing for 3 or 4 hours on end with E85. So we would never run out of E85, the good go-go juice. And we'd be able to drive on pump gas anywhere we wanted to race all the bikes, you know, Curtis, Joey, whatever. We could have all that fun.
Wow. You're such a nerd.
So I just did some math.
I love it.
Speaking of nerd, I just did some math. If those were all 8th mile hits, which they weren't, but if they were all 8th mile hits, you've driven that car just for a hit, just full throttle, 450 to 500 miles since 2017.
Right. Now,
That's insane.
take
At full throttle.
Take 200
At full throttle.
Take 230 passes a year, and it's about 2 miles average to make a lap.
Oh, yeah.
230. So we're at 460 miles just to get to and from the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty wild. That's a pretty wild number.
Yeah. Let's get some miles on it. I mean, we're almost to the point where we have to qualify for a higher mileage insurance.
Do you have any tally on how many races you've won?
I added it up in, I think, 2020. 2020, we traveled the country, Eric and I did, kind of in spite of COVID. You know, because they're like, oh, we're shutting the country down. We're shutting the country
Yeah.
down. And we went out. We made it a point to race almost
It was a
every
great
weekend.
time to race.
Yeah, we raced, I think, 47 weekends. We entered in 80 different events, and we won about 40, I think it's 49 or 51 of the races we won.
Oh,
and I think 27 others we went to the finals.
Wow.
So I was like, these are some crazy stats. And our selection on races, instead of like, so we go out to race, we don't race for just, you know, oh, there's a race here, let's go do it, and we can do this race tomorrow. We look at now how far we got to go, what the possibility of winning is, what the possible payout is it going to pay for a month worth of losses, stuff like that. So then we pick our selection on that now. So we don't hit as many events or classes a year, but I bet we're still in like the 40s, 40 different classes a year that we get into.
That's crazy.
And we try to win about 30 to 40% of them.
Wow. Have you added up your winnings?
No, I don't want to know.
The
Just like
the IRS does.
Just like the
They
spinning on
wanna
the car.
Yeah, no, you never add that up.
No, that's
never add that up.
they go in the same folder.
So during 2020, during the COVID lockdowns, did you feel like a criminal traveling the U.S.
It's
racing?
pretty rebellious for a while.
We kind of did too.
Well, it was like they shut down every track event. Nobody could have spectators,
Yeah.
and nobody was really having racers at events. So we said, like, I was kind of like at home, like, what are we gonna
Yeah.
do? And then Kyle's like, we're just gonna go. It's like there's a cash days this weekend. Let's go to it. And then for the next 2 months straight, we just went street racing. We're like, they can't shut down the streets, and that's when we made we had a T-shirt about it and everything.
Yep.
COVID can't shut down the streets, and that's what we did for 2 months straight until they started to slowly open events, kind of like out west, I think, if I remember right, Colorado. Or
Well, we were in Nebraska, and Kansas City is probably the same. Like we were all the closures were happening around us, and then it took like 6 months to get to the Midwest.
Yeah.
And finally, like, oh, we have to wear masks now. Okay, whatever. But remember the Kansas City Cash days where we're like, we still didn't know how bad it was. This was like April or May or something.
Kyle was like, you don't have to get close to the racers when you talk to them, whatever. As soon as we got there, we just went back to what we normally do. And I will say, like, none of us, I think actually you or
during the driver's meeting, I was like hanging out at a table, like watching from a distance. I didn't want to be around a ton of people.
We didn't know what they were trying to fearmonger it. COVID was going to, if you got it, you're done, basically. Mm-hmm. So we were like, we don't know how close we can get to racers. For the first street race we went to, from then on to every track race we went to, we just interacted with them like we normally do. Yeah. And I don't think any of us got sick.
It wasn't until like a year later that I got it.
Yeah, I didn't get COVID till a year and a half later. I got it at home between events. That was the dumbest part. I meet racers and shake hands and hug all the time. Didn't get it a single time till I was at home for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we switched to fist bumps for about a year. Not many handshakes. It was an interesting time. Were a lot of them street races that you went to?
No, a lot of them were track races.
Okay.
So we did. It's probably about 25% street. The rest of them were all track.
Cool. We went to that Edgewater race where Dirty 30 Nick rolled his car and burned to the ground, and they got in a lot of trouble for that because they weren't supposed to have more than like X number of people on the property, and they were allowed to do like testing, but they weren't allowed to have an event. So I think that just got dropped because everything was whatever. But that was an interesting time.
Yeah, I remember the fire marshal like rolling into different events and stuff, be like, hey, you can't have, like, if you're going to do this, like, we can't really shut it down right now. But like, you can't be in groups bigger than, 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys got to disperse. You got to use up all the property we got here.
Yeah, they were urging people to do that at Edgewater. They're like, don't congregate in an area. Just keep your areas. Yeah. It was weird.
It was wild. It was a wild time.
We were talking about roll racing. What was your favorite roll race? I think I filmed you racing Curtis Freight Train on the KC streets. I think I might have filmed you racing some bikes that same night.
Yeah.
Any good roll races that you remember that are stuck in your head?
Back in the day, like that night, I think Joey and I raced like 4 times, and he had the little nitrous 5.3 and it just spraying the crap out of it. Big old flames underneath it.
Yeah.
That was fun. The bikes were fun. We would race, or we would go to chase races that were happening. And it's like, okay, this guy should be faster. And so we'll just chase him, kind of keep up. And like, we're like catching up and going around the bike or going around him or whatever. And that stuff was a lot of fun. There was, let's see. We've done, back long ago on like one of the first Turbo 5.3s, I still had a 480 in the car. And the 480 had gear problems. Like, it wouldn't always have like consecutive gears. You may have like second and fourth. You may have third and first. Like, that's it. And I kind of figured out that I had second and fourth this one night I was out racing with it. And we were racing a 600cc bike. Nothing crazy. Bike takes off. We go around them, and we're on like little bitty street tires and stuff. So we're like just blowing the tires off, just having fun. And then we, the bike guy's like, hey, well, I'm going to get my buddy out here with a leader bike. Like, all right, cool. Brings it out here, and, we go to race it down in Kansas City. And the bike takes off, and a lot of punch down low. Boom, gets like 2-3 car lengths out. And he's like, I'm just going to go until like I can't go no more. It's like, okay. So like, we're running down this bike, get the car in overdrive, lock the converter up, and it's just chugging. We're reeling this guy in. Starts getting on the rev limiter. We actually passed this bike on the rev limiter at like 205 miles an hour.
Wow.
Nice. Like back in the day. That was pretty cool. And then recently we built a True Street type car, 1,100 horsepower, kind of a tribute to my other Firebird. And it's a Turbo LS 480 deal, but everything works as it should. And we took it out street racing one night, the wife and I did. And, go to the parking lot. I'm trying to act anonymous, but everybody in Kansas City knows who I am. And if they don't, they're just too young. And we end up finding like a young guy with, a twin turbo Coyote. You're like, okay, cool. Like, he's going out, he's molly whopping like all these cars. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to kind of follow him, babe. And so we're chasing this guy a little bit, letting him kind of beat up on these other guys. And I get next to him and start kind of power braking the car and stuff. But that car's got stock exhaust, so you can't hear anything. And you just barely hear the turbo going, shoo, shoo, and that's it. And we honk it off. And he starts to go. I get into it. Boom. Just kill him. And he's like, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, hey, like, just take off. Like, I'll just come get you. He's like, man, I don't, like, are you sure? He's like, this thing's pretty fast. I'm like, yeah, just go for it. He's like, all right. So he takes off, gets a couple cars out there, and boom, kill him again. And we go back to the parking lot, and he starts like going to all the other fast guys. He knows, he's like, hey, he's like, you need to race this Firebird. This thing's like super fast. And they're like, that's Ryan Mitchell, man. Like, we've already raced him 10 years ago. We already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, he's far surpassed us.
Like,
you're the new guy.
We don't care what car that is. You know, we know it's going to be dumb fast.
You miss those days where you could go out and have fun in 1,000 horsepower and nobody looked at you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Sometimes we find that anonymity when we go to the East Coast sometimes.
Okay.
Like we'll get out there and we'll get to a track that doesn't have cell phone service apparently, or the internet. And like we went to Knoxville, Tennessee, showed up out there for a 10,000 win tree side race. And almost nobody knew who we were except for like the water box guy. Water box guy, huge fan, watches 1320, watches our channel, you know, was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're here. And then we just like clean house.
So he got like the best view all day of he's like, I know what's about to happen. He was probably making a bunch of money in the water box.
That's great. But plug your channel real quick. How do people find you?
So it's Casey Max the Firebird. So we try to do
X's.
With 2 X's. So we try to do videos every couple videos a week. You know, we go over a lot of technical stuff. We go over, you know, pretty blunt what we do. My wife edits some stuff out for me because I'll tell everything. But it's pretty informative for those that want to learn, especially if you want to get to multi-surface small tire racing.
Yeah. We'll put the link in the description so people can find you.
Oh, thanks.
So you've been racing for 20 some years in this. What races get you excited right now?
Yellow Belly always gets me excited.
Yeah.
War in the Woods gets me excited. We're starting to add in this Ronnie Buff Memorial race every year now. This year we're racing for 75,000.
That's gonna be crazy.
Where is that at?
That's Shelby, North Carolina.
That's when we're going to.
Oh, it's the
Silly Goose.
What is it called?
Shady Side.
No, Shady. But what's the race? It's called North versus South.
Yeah, Ronnie Buff Memorial.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we'll be there.
Yeah, late May. So those are all top tier events. Lake Cumberland. It's a cool old airport racetrack, and it's they do backside Friday night and they do tree side Saturday.
Really? Where is that at?
That is Russell Springs, Lake Cumberland area.
What state?
Kentucky.
Okay. Let's check that one out.
Yeah.
That is coming up at the end of this month. So that's the 24th, 25th this month, I believe.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. So you got 3.5
Nice.
weeks.
Sweet.
What are you?
We're always looking for new places. To
Are
go.
you? So you're going to be at Yellow Belly. We'll be at Yellow Belly. Are you going to be at War in the Woods?
Oh, yeah.
We'll be at War in the Woods. And
You
then,
know, I'm the only multi-winner at War in the Woods.
really?
Yeah. I'm the only guy to ever win that event twice or more.
Really?
I think Joey went once, won it, and said, "I don't need to go back."
Sketchy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I get it. And you really won it twice?
4 times.
Holy shit!
Jeez.
So yeah, go defend your crown, I guess.
Yeah. We've won it with turbos and blower.
What's sketchier?
Oh well, then you got to do it with compressed air now.
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah. What's sketchier, Yellow Belly or War in the Woods?
The go side is going to be War in the Woods. The slowdown side is going to be Yellow Belly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yellow Belly is the worst on the slowdown.
So like 1.2 lanes wide down there. They widened a little bit.
The problem is the unevenness, the dropouts. So if you run a car that's got 4 inches of ground clearance in the front, you're bottoming out.
Really?
Yeah, it's rough.
Dang.
So do you have to raise your car to race there?
Luckily, the car is already high and ugly, so it doesn't hit the ground at all.
He calls it ugly. It's fine. We call it not the prettiest car in the world. And he
Mainly ugly. We just went to the gut during TX2K and it was insane.
on a Thursday. You can
Yeah,
win
on a Thursday. It was a mixture of like a Thursday crowd and TX2K, so it was a little tamed down. I haven't been there on a legit Thursday yet, because like the no prep races, all no prep races from all around the U.S., but it's a little more cultural on Thursdays.
We might have to hit that up on Thursday. I think we get down there. We drive down there, so we might hit that up just for the experience.
Good taste. It's a good time. There was at least 500 to 600 people on the starting line, and there was at least 150 of those were past the starting line.
Oh, I'm sure.
That was
Up to the
crazy.
60 foot.
Crazy.
Did you guys ever go there before they fixed the staging lanes?
Those are fixed?
Those are fixed.
How were they not? How were they before?
Before that, there was more fences, and the lanes were so narrow, like, you know, that Honda would have trouble going down them, and they had asphalt humps to keep you in the lanes so that you wouldn't lane hop side to side.
How high were the humps?
Like,
Whoa.
They were like curbs?
yeah, like the golf cart would like get high center going over them.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, they're improved then.
Yeah, they're great.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's what they used to be like.
Are there any other tracks that you can think of that are just like unique outlaw tracks that you went to maybe one time or something we haven't heard of?
Have you been to George Ray's?
No,
I want to go to George
no,
Ray's.
it's on the list.
Where's that?
I think it's Arkansas. I don't know.
George Ray's, is that what you said?
Yeah, it has like a little bridge over the burnout box. It's like a wooden bridge, like nothing crazy.
They have problems with frogs crossing the track.
Really?
It's a legitimate
Do you
issue.
have a frog crossing sign?
No, but they have problems. Like you'll get frogs jump on the surface, you'll hit them, they'll
They're
smear,
slimy.
and you'll lose your tire.
What?
Yeah, Kendall Goen goes there all the time.
Lose
He
it
was
is
telling us
in
about that.
spin, or lose it is in the tire's not good anymore.
Well, I mean, it's just going to spin.
Okay.
I mean, you're at the abort the run. You know, hopefully nothing.
I know
else
certain
happens.
oils will ruin a tire. I didn't know if a frog would too.
As far as I know, no, I haven't tested that. I've never tested.
That
frog
might be a
guts on
new
my
prep
tire.
you need to try, actually.
For the other guy.
All right. Any other tracks that you really like?
There's a lot of tracks I love. Like I-57, I think it's a great track.
Where's that?
That's Benton, Illinois. So it's south of, you go about an hour out of St. Louis and go down about an hour. And they don't do a whole lot of heads up races, but it's a really nice, small kind of outlaw track. You know, I love my US 36 back at home. That outlaw track's always, you know, bumpy and righty. I-29 is always a lot of fun.
Do you like the sketchier tracks with a bad surface? It gives you an advantage, or you just like
Usually it's the atmosphere.
it being wild? Okay.
Well,
atmosphere.
I mean, I like making great, fast, straight passes, but you've got a wider range of what cars can win an event if the surface is challenging. You know, if the driver, the tuner, they got to get out of their comfort zone a bit to conquer that surface. I think that's kind of where an allure advantage comes to. You know, like that's why Warner Woods is off the hook. That's why Yellow Belly's off the hook. I mean, so many of these other tracks is just what makes them good. I mean, nobody wants to go to a top level, you know, NHRA facility and do a no prep and not expect to get their teeth kicked in by, you know, this $500,000 car over here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what's going to happen. But, you know, you put that same kind of car on a tough surface, and now they've got to work just as hard as we got to work to try to get there. And, you know, that extra 1,000 horsepower they got isn't going to be advantageous here. So,
Gotcha. I meant to ask you earlier, a lot of tuners have a big library of tunes to choose from, like label different things for different surfaces. How many do you have to choose from? Obviously, I have a bunch of different combinations.
6 gigabytes?
Gigabytes in a tune file is how much? Like a few kilobytes?
I don't remember. It's a lot. When I move my Holly folder, like so at home I tune about 700 stock PCMs a year. And that 5 years of tunes on that's only like 2 gigabytes. And it's just my
Wow.
Firebird folder, when I back it up, it's like, it's significant.
And
I mean,
that's every pass you've made since probably 2017, yeah?
we're older than that.
Oh, so pretty much every pass you've ever made competitively.
Dang.
So we keep consistency on channels, stuff like that. So we can look at wheel speed, dry shaft speed, shock data from all those. And each run is logged, date, time, specific, like tire, what major change was done. Like, was that a rear end gear change? What surface we're at. And so to like go to Bradenton and look at that surface and go, man, like this looks like, you know, this facility, this facility, this facility.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we go back, we reference that data, and it's like, boom, runs exactly what we want to run. We just didn't expect it to have to go in our 10th and a half faster.
Mm-hmm.
When we can do that. But yeah, I mean, we can go anywhere in the country. We can look at our weather station on the car, and we can determine pretty much any surface what we're going to be able to do. Like, you know, we'll get sent pictures of like Immokalee, Florida. Didn't you guys go down to Immokalee?
Yep.
Immokalee, yeah.
Immokalee. So I've had some fans down there say, hey, you need to go to this. And I mean, it's a tough drive. I mean, it got to be worth the cheese to go down there and get it. And they're like, man, like for anybody to go faster than 490 here, that's like unheard of. And like Brandon Mork went down there, and Brandon Mork went as fast as, you know, I figured the surface would go. Like I look at it, I'm like, I'm going to go this number down there. You know, I would put the same tune I would go down that track with down in Immokalee. And
Gotcha.
I know how fast we go there. We know how fast Joey goes here. And it's like, we can do that down there. So, I mean, it's going to be considerably faster than 490s.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you know, we see that. We can see some variances in the surface. We can see transition right before 330 there, we can see if there's rubber applied down the surface. We can see if there's a large amount of dirt on the surface currently.
Yep.
And it's getting cleaner every run we make. So
many different aspects.
What ECU do you run?
Right now we run a Dominator EFI.
And that's what, 64 inputs?
Yeah, we're out.
I was going to ask my next question. How many inputs do you have?
They're full.
Jeez.
64.
Yeah, we're almost out of outputs. So we got a lot going on in that thing.
Jeez.
We're about to the point where we're going to start adding the CAN bus expander to it.
Jeez. Just sensor on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next for your racing career? Do you have anything you're thinking about doing, or just kind of live in the moment?
Just kind of keep proceeding on with the car.
Obviously, you got a lot to figure out with the compressor supercharging.
Yeah. We've got a pretty good backside combination figured out for that. We want to get the tree side stuff figured out. We've already caught up to our, we look at G-force a lot on acceleration, and we've already matched our G with the Pro Charger with the CAS.
Really?
Cool.
With capital on the table early. So I'm very confident this system is going to work like it hits the tire nice and easy like a blower does, but we can stage it and bring it in progressive like a turbo in a lot of ways.
So it's kind of best of both worlds there.
Right. And it's when you have a turbo, you get it spun up, and sometimes it can be hard to pull it back. So like, I-29 here, it's got really bad bumps around 400 foot usually. So you can
See
run
where the tire marks start going otherwise.
Yeah, so you can hit it hard and run it pretty good up to that point, and then you got to kind of reel it back for a second and maybe lay back in it. Well, you've got transient response time on the turbos to bring it back up, and like compressed air stuff. I mean, pretty much whatever I command in a tenth of a second, it's going to go. Doop, it's going to be there. The Pro Charger, like it's always there. It's always got murderous intent in its heart, and it's just trying to get down the surface as fast as it can. You just got to keep telling it no, and whenever you don't say no, it's already accelerated. So
when you're pedaling a turbo or supercharged car, obviously you're waiting for that power to come back in a little bit. On the compressed air, you have the throttle body closed and just air rushing in from the bottles. How does the throttle, I guess you still have a throttle body, or no, how does that work?
Okay, so you got your 1/4 inch thick blade that shuts off outside air.
Okay.
And you're relying on a pneumatic, or we're using a Mac valve. So we're relying on a pneumatic belay to open and close that. So that's pretty much not going to move on like a quick snap the throttle transition.
Gotcha.
But we'll be able to close our main throttle body blade to reduce the torque momentarily as needed on a pedal job, and then continue on. I mean, the goal is to never pedal.
Gotcha.
And
So you have a valve that closes so you don't have fluctuations in air coming from the outside, and then you have the throttle body.
Right. Because
Gotcha.
we don't need any of the outside air at that point.
Yep.
Because we don't have this. I mean, we run an air filter, so now we don't suck any sand, dirt, bugs, nothing like that gets moved into the motor. And then the car runs completely off the bottles. So when we make if we have to make quick pedal changes, there's just that slight delay in that main outside blade. So we can make quick manifold air pressure changes by closing the blade, coming back open as needed. But really, with the control we've got implemented now with the Holley stuff, we really don't ever have to pedal.
Wow.
I mean, really, we can just kind of just let it go, and it's going to catch itself, and either we've already lost or we're on target. So the blower definitely has a way more aggressive reapply of power. And I mean, that thing, you can clap it as fast as you want, and as fast as throttle transition comes down, manifold pressure is back.
Really?
Turbos, you got about 2.5 tenths on a delay there, but the blower, it's instantaneous.
Cool.
So I have to ask, because I want to see you do one of these. Are you ever going to do a drag and drive?
I want to. It just, we got to get in one.
I think we can get you in one. Or
So-
we can suggest a couple that you definitely should hit.
Okay.
Yeah, Sick Week. I want to see you at Sick Week next year for sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's the
That's the February one.
That's a Super Bowl of drag and drives. Yeah,
Okay.
and
You
it's
can
in
hang
Florida.
around for Mockley.
It's in Florida in February.
If that
You can't
track's
really
still
beat
open.
it.
I know Megan would love to do it. So that's definitely one that she would want to do.
I'll
'cause it's
send
on
her a
Florida.
message and it'll happen. How's
It's all, well, they do have a radial class for 8th mile. That'd probably be your best fit, because most of the class.
unless you built a whole different car for it.
Yeah, I'll just change
he
it.
gets,
True.
and he gets super addicted to drag and drives.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I've already got a big cooling system at the shop we can put back in the car. I've got different gears, put 340 gear in it. We can go 1/4 mile with it. No big deal.
I want to see you do that.
Yeah.
So put a
Sweet.
little trailer back there. I
What
mean,
do you
everything's
think-
built heavy enough.
What do you think you can make that car run 1/4 mile?
If we ran, my problem is I don't know if we can trust to get the big block to last without having to change like valve springs every day, bring spare valve train for everything. That's what kind of worries me on it. Big block, I think 640s, 650s. LS, we could probably run sixes, high sixes.
Sweet. That'd be fun to see. Would you do the compressed air setup, or would you bring turbos, or
The trailer would be the whole compressor.
yeah?
Well, the nice thing is that compressor is so big, we don't have to have a mother bottle system. And since we have hours at the track in order to run,
Sure.
we could bring just the compressor.
That's true. You could just fill the tanks
We'll
straight
just fill
from the compressor.
Yeah, it'll only take about 25, 30 minutes to fill the car directly from the compressor if we deplete the whole system.
That's not bad.
No.
You got a couple hours between rounds usually.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Well, I think we just designed your drag and drive setup. Congratulations. You now have a
thank
new
you.
task.
See you next year. Have you ever considered a different car?
I have. I mean, it would.
Was
It'd
it
be
a
a
Fox body?
No.
Thank God.
Never. I did own a new Edge that we were going to build for backside stuff. And it was a V6. The rod knocket died a glorious fiery death on the dyno with nitrous going down the air filter a few years ago. It was awesome. Yeah. But that car we never ended up building it. I want to build a C7. I think it's one of the nastiest looking drag cars out there.
Interesting. Cool. Would you like scuff the paint up and spray paint it, or what's
Would this be a full-on race car, or would this be more like a street car build?
It'd be a full on
Don't mind, Kyle.
It'd be a full on race car.
Full-on race car.
I picked on Joey way more than I picked on you. So. I like that Corvette, bro.
But then all my marketing doesn't work. The Firebird, it doesn't work with a Corvette.
You don't have to retire the car completely.
Yeah.
You can have multiple race cars.
We thought about it. We thought about making,
God knows you have plenty of combinations to have in both.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we make it all work in a little 1,000 square foot shop right now, storing all these pieces.
Is it hard to balance racing with business?
Plus family. We just had our
True.
fourth son.
Jesus. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
congrats.
I think I've talked to you about this before. You work 4.5 days and then you race on the weekend. And
Yeah,
then you race 4.5 days and race, and you do that like all year.
Yeah. We work, right now we're working just Monday through Thursday. We work 10-hour days. And then Thursday night, if we have to drive, if there's a good race to do on a Friday, then we're probably going to put in some of the drive Thursday night so we can get there early. Because I'm one of those show up really early. I want to park. I want to have choice of parking. Like I want to be there, be comfortable, be settled in, ready to go. And that's what I really like about doing some of the legal track stuff anymore. Is just you can get there, get everything set the way you wanted to, and stays for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to make family time. We got 13, almost 14-year-old now. He turns 14 this week. He's into every sport there is and does really good. So we love supporting him. And our 12-year-old, he's also getting in and out of different extracurriculars that sometimes pertain to him. Sometimes he likes, sometimes he doesn't. And then we got our crazy toddler 4-year-old who's like the size of you. And and our newest bundle, Joy, he's about 6 months old.
Does he have a beard too?
Not yet. Not yet. He's got leg hair. I can't believe he's got leg hair and like coarse. I'm like, bro.
So are you unofficially retired from street racing? Speaking of,
Yeah. Unfortunately, I just don't think it's worth the risk anymore for me. So I really like the idea of going out and going fast in a street car and doing like some roll race stuff. I think it's very low risk. But to take the real car out, the setup on it, trying to get back in and out of the trailer quickly, which Eric and I are very fast. We're about 90 seconds out, 90 seconds back in or less. And so we can be on the move really quick. But ever since we put zoomies on it, we know that just is high alert to anything within 5 miles.
oh yeah,
And the big block is a screamer. The LS isn't too bad. Some people thought it was pretty quiet. But the payouts on the street and with the other activities getting classified as street racing out there, like Kansas City just released its $500, $750, or $1,000 mandatory tow fine if you get caught spectating or in the act of anything illegal or reckless driving in Kansas City now.
Jeez.
And I'm sorry, that's not worth the risk for me. That fine's not
and then
worth
you have
it.
your family to think about.
Impounding of the car. Yeah. And then family is a huge thing. Not having EMT on site.
Yep.
Like Nate was at a legal race when he passed last April. And, it was just a series of bad events that they weren't able to get in the care he needed. So unfortunately, all these terrible downers are reasons why that the street stuff's just not worth it to me right now.
And the car's so freaking fast.
Well, competitive. It's just competitive.
Very competitive. Have you ever made more money in your racing career than your business?
There are years when the racing definitely pays for the business.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So that happens.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Nobody ever should start racing thinking they're going to make money, but a few people after decades of running the same car can do it.
You can start to dig yourself back out of the hole you dug.
There you go. There you go. But as you said earlier, you don't have no idea how deep the hole is because you don't keep track. So we're just going to smile and be happy that you're winning right now.
Right. There we just do quick math right now. Right now is, every 8-hour drive is usually $2,500 for that weekend in expenditures between food, stay, fuel, entry fee, tires consumed, car consumables, stuff like that, $2,500. And, if we can win $10,000 that month, it pays for the month. We pretty much break even. If we win more than that, fantastic. Now we're buying other stuff that's kind of crazy on the car, like maybe compressed air, or we're buying an extra blower or whatever.
It's its own separate business.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. You have it dialed in like that. If I win once a month, it'll pay for the racing. If I win more than that, it's profit.
Yep.
That's cool.
Just simple.
Nice.
So I have to tell myself when I'm losing for a month and a half straight or 2 months, like, I'm going to get back.
In 2020, your 60% win ratio, you're making pretty good money.
Yeah, we were getting paid at a lot of races. Yeah, because we were making it into the finals or winning. So not very many weekends we were going home without reimbursing ourselves.
That's cool.
Nice.
Sweet. Well, I think that wraps it up for this edition of Talkin' Shift. Thank you so much for joining us. It's
Thanks
been a lot
for
of
making
fun.
the drive. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking some time off work in between races. Ryan Mitchell, KC Max, make sure to check him out. We'll have a link to his YouTube in our description here. Make sure to subscribe for more Talkin' Shift and more 1320 videos. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.